Hurrah! We've made it. I'm so sorry, folks. Ah, don't you just love it when you have issues with security? Right. Okay, now I've managed to lose everything. I can't see anything anymore. Okay, let's just double check here that I can see you. I can't see you. I can't. Oh, no, not that. Oh, no. Okay, I'm trying to find the chat. Where's the chat? There we go. Hello. Right. Okay. How can I get that to go in there? No, I want that to go in there. There we go. Get that rid of that. Okay, you're here. Hello. I can see comments. So sorry about that. Honestly. So it's always the silly little things, isn't it? Right? Last week, I got one of those messages that says, please change your passwords. You may have had a security breach. So guess what? I changed all my passwords. What did that do? Without me realising, it knocked me out of here, so I couldn't actually connect through to my YouTube channel. So I am so sorry, and thank you. Thank you so much for your patience for joining. Jeanette, bless you. Thank you. I'm so glad you think I'm worth waiting for. Thank you. Oh, so glad that you're all here. Sarah's here. Oh my goodness, loads of you are on. So this is great. Okay, so we've got Jeanette, we've got Leah, we've got Joan, we've got Sarah, we've got Angie, we've got Tina, we've got Diane, excellent. Thank you, Paul. Sally, Valerie, Emma, and Darren. Hello. You're new to my videos. Well, I'm so glad that you waited and that you would join me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm just going to calm down a little bit now because, you know, it's always a little bit stressful when you have a technical issue and it doesn't go to plan. I was all ready for this. I had my camera set up, my lights were set up, everything's ready on my desk in front of me. And then what goes on? Technical problems. Passwords. Don't you just love them? And breathe. Okay, so thank you for joining day one of my 3-day series. Doesn't mean to say that I'm going to go live all day. I'm going live every day for 3 days, just in case anyone was wondering. And we're going to be looking at how we can step up your card designs, okay? So first of all, a little bit about me. So my name is Pip Todman, just in case you don't know. I've been teaching card making now for, I want to say nearly 15 years. And I've been crafting, well, a lot longer than that, shall we say. Let's not mention the age. So, so thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope that you'll stay for all three. So today, tomorrow and Wednesday, because we're going to do like a course. It's like a mini course, okay, where we're going to start off with one way of making cards, and then we're going to add to it and then add to it and then add to it, so that on day 3 you can see how you could evolve your card making if you want to. You may not want to. You may be perfectly happy with the way your cards are today, but you know, there's always some things that just niggle people. And I run a big Facebook group and I see lots of you stressing out about lots of different things. So I thought I would come on and do this course and really kind of give you a bit of a glimpse as to what is inside the Card Making Know-How Academy, because that's where I do most of my teaching. So I do that inside my academy, but I just wanted to kind of share a little bit of that with you and show you what it's like inside, but also give you something for free that you will hopefully enjoy and take a lot from. So when I first started card making, I started with the whole stick things on paper, stick it on a card, stick it, and that's it, done. Back then, I didn't have a die cutting machine. I have got my lippy on, Jeanette, yes. So yeah, I didn't have a die cutting machine back then. And then when I started progressing more into card making, I sort of just naturally, I think, navigated to stamping. But actually, lots and lots of new card makers are starting with die cutting. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do my session on starting with die cutting. Let's start just with die cuts today and see how we can progress that forward, and then see how we could maybe introduce some new things for people tomorrow, and then some more things on Wednesday. So thank you. And thank you, Jeanette, for staying up to 11:30 in Australia to watch me. I'm very, very grateful. And I'm sure Leah is up at some ridiculous hour in the States to watch me as well. So thank you very much. I do try and sort of move things around. This seems to be like the time when I can catch most people. So Okay, let's go hands down and we will see how we look. All right, let's put some lights, camera, lights, come on. Lights. Oh, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it? Right? Can you just tell? There we go. Yay, we have light, we have camera, we actually have streaming. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, you can see my hands. Right, so let's start off with die cutting. First of all, I am going to work today in a small card base. Okay, so we're going to start off today with a small card base. This is like an A2 size in the States, or for anyone else, it's an A6. Okay, so we're going to start off with that, and I just need to crease my card, so score my card down the centre. And we're going to start off with a very basic piece of white card, because you'll either buy white card blanks or most people have got white card at home. And then I thought we would do some layering. So this is where you get to be a little bit interactive. Okay, and we're going to start and start choosing, do we want blue or do we want pink? Okay, so whilst you're doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we're talking about today. So you might be starting out with die cutting, or you might be an avid die cutter, and you might have done lots of die cutting. My plan today is to basically show you just how to get started with die cutting, and maybe a few tips about, you know, coordination and placement and all that kind of stuff. And then what we will do is go through that, talk about how to make things look good in your cards, and then I really want you to use your stash. So today is not about purchasing anything from me. Okay, I'm not pushing any particular brand, design, you know, card, whatever. I'm not pushing any of that today. I don't want you to be thinking about this and going, oh, I want to buy that. No, this is about you understanding how to use stash. Okay, and I'm thinking that there are probably lots of you. Did you all get your workbook, by the way? If you got your workbook, let me know. I'm thinking that most of you have probably got a flower die out there somewhere. Okay, so that's what I'm using, and I'm actually using Chloe's Creative. This is a joint set, Summer Foliage Corner, this one is, but basically it's a die that it's just this die. Okay, excellent. Valerie's got the workbook. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. Good, good, good. So it's a very simple die, cuts out 3 different sizes of flowers, and you can see that they're really plain, because I thought plain is harder, right? If it's all very complex and detailed, then sometimes it can be quite easy to create a die cut card. But I thought, let's go with some plain stuff, because I do see people just with plain dies and they've popped them on their card and they go, what is missing? What do I need? What else can I have? You know, why doesn't it look balanced? Why doesn't it look, what am I missing? That's generally the question that people ask. What's missing from this? How can I get it looking better? So that's what I want to talk about today. Okay. All right. So it looks like we've got, how many votes we've got? Okay. So we've got 2 blue and 2 pink. So I need one more person. Oh, blue. There we go. Angie's come on. Hey, hi Angie. Lovely to see you. Yes, you got the workbook, great, and you want blue. So we're going to go blue because we had 3 of those in the end, so that's good. Alrighty. So this is our main layer, okay? And I've cut the flowers out, you'll be glad to know, in the opposite colour. So don't panic, because we're going to get pink in here somewhere. We always get pink in here somewhere, right? I'm doing the whole colour, I'm doing the whole coordination thing as well. It's blue scarf, pink hair. See, it works well. So I've die cut these out. So literally just pop that onto a piece of card, run it through your die cutting machine. There we go. 3 beautiful flowers. Okay. Now you can layer these if you want to. You can add them on top of each other, but when they're all just one colour, it's quite tricky to do that. So I'm going to explain to you how I would work with these when they're all the same colour and you've only got 3 of them, and how we would make them a little bit zhuzhier. Okay, zhuzhy is a technical term which you'll get to know and love through me. I'm just first of all curling the edges, and I do this just by running the card through my fingers like so. You see that? I'm just like almost pinching it with my finger, and this makes it curve. See that? So that's a tip with your die cuts. You don't have to put them on flat. You can always add a little bit of texture just by sort of pinching and pulling the cardstock. What you're really doing is you're just sort of teasing the fibres into the right position by doing this. Okay, we'll do it again with a little one. Now, I always like to use a little bit of bling. A bit of bling's always good. So we will be using a bit of bling because, you know, what's card making without bling, right? But I'm just going to stick with normal today. We're just going to stick with normal rhinestones, okay? So we've got our 3 little flowers, like so. And I see a lot of people going either straight onto card, like this. I've put my flowers on. Why doesn't that look great? What else can I do with that? Okay, I'm going to tell you that adding a layer makes a huge difference. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to use my bone folder, and this just gives you that nice flat edge. It means I can put the card down and it doesn't bounce up, so none of the flowers disappear elsewhere when they're not supposed to. Okay, so if you add just a simple layer, okay, like so, then when you start to put your flowers on, doesn't that look so much better? Straight away it looks like you've got a border, and you know you've got the die cuts on there. That's lovely. I actually think they would look good with a little bit more texture to them, or something else to help make them more sort of florally, really, even on the blue. So I've got some paper here that's got leaves on it, and I don't want to put it all over the paper because I've just got that lovely blue and I want to keep that, right? So we're not going to do that. I'm just going to chop a little piece, and it doesn't matter which card you're making in terms of, you know, whether you're on letter size card or A4 size card, a 5 centimetre or a 2-inch strip is always going to look good because it's about half-ish, just under. And we're going to pop that just down there. Okay, this is one of my favourite layouts for any card that you're making. If you can add this as a layout, so you've got one layer at the bottom, then you add another layer just as a strip, anything you put on that's going to look nice. Okay, so then I'm going to start to add my flowers, and then because of the way this is, I want it sort of so that the flowers still all have some attachment to the floral design, the flower, the leaves and stuff. I'm going to position them so that they sit around in a third, in a 3, group of 3. 3 is a good number for any kind of card making. And I'm going to group them around in this sort of left hand, bottom left corner. Okay, why am I doing that? Because your eyes like it. Simple as that. Okay, we talk a lot about this in design. If I stuck it like that, it would look okay, but it wouldn't look as attractive to the eye. And we talk a lot about this in my foundations of design and the principles of design, etc., inside the academy, in how to make a card that looks nice to the eye. But generally, if you stick with corners or completely central, that looks good. Okay, so we're going to go with that. So we like that. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to do some quick gluing. Now, I'm going quick here, so I'm just doing my tape. But you could use glue, tape, whatever. I just find tape is good for me. I can get it straight. See, now sometimes I need to look at it properly. That's not too bad. Yep, there we go. All right, and then we'll stick that on the card itself. And if you've got a good tape runner, you don't really need masses and masses of tape, which is also good to know. And we'll put that on. And my tip here is to look at your corners. Don't look at anything other than your corner. And if your corner there and your corner there are okay, the rest of it's automatically going to go in the right place. Okay, so that's a couple of tips on gluing and stuff like that. Now we're going to look at putting our flowers on. Okay, so I kind of like those sort of layering like this. And I like depth and texture. Okay, so having them little raising up just at the edges, this adds a little bit of texture straight away. But I also like adding texture and dimension with literally dimension by adding foam pads to the back of this. If anybody knows me, they know I don't like soggy middles, so make sure it's got a nice middling base. Okay, we're just going to pop that on a little bit of overhang, don't want a little bit of overhang, and then these we can either put flat or we could do like one flat and one up, but I think I like both of those flat. And for these you can either use tape, but I always reach for my little Tombow glue just because it helps with a bit of wiggle room, so you can position it exactly where you want. Okay, so that's looking okay. Looking a bit boring in the middle of the flowers though, right? So gems, bit of bling, and as I've said, today we're just going to use normal rhinestones. So we'll get some plain rhinestones out. These are plain ones. You can have different coloured ones, but we'll go plain just for now. Might zhuzh it up a bit in a minute and go for the next one. Okay, so now we need to add some centres. Now, if you just added one centre there, that would look a bit weird, right? Because it's a bit small. So if you just go up a bit, oops, oh look, they're all flying off now, and then over a bit, and then over a bit more. Now you've got a 3 centre flower middle, and see, it looks much better. Just because A, it's bigger, and B, it's 3 again. So 3 is always good. Now for these ones we'll do the same, but we'll do with the next size down. So having different sizes of bling is always important. One there, one there, one there. And I love this little gadget. It's a great little tool for adding your thingies. And it's a take your pick tool. I have to say, if you're going to buy anything, buy this. It's brilliant. Okay, so now we have our card. We've got our little greenery, which helps to show that these are flowers. Okay, and now we've got our melon mambo flowers on our base, and all we need now is some words. So you can die cut some words out. I buy die cut words like this because I like them. I've got loads of them. These ones are die cut. These ones you have to cut yourself. So let's see, maybe one of these you have to cut yourself, might look better. And we can start thinking about, got birthday wishes, that's a bit long, something smaller than that. What have we got here? Just because is always nice, isn't it? Yeah, let's do a just because. I quite like that one. These ones we have to cut out, but that's okay. Or you could die cut them, of course, if you had a die cut that fitted perfectly. That would also be grand. Oh, that's going to need a little bit more taken off underneath. It's got a bit carried away there with my cutting. So pretty straight. Okay. Perfect. And then we can just lock the end off there. Another technical term. Okay. All right, now we've got a just because, and we can pop this so it sits just underneath, just poking out from the flowers. You could do it halfway up here, but I think that kind of covers up the flower a little bit, so I'm not sure I want to do that. You could add it at the top, but it's a bit more disconnected up there. So I'm going to bring it in just down here, and I'm going to go low with this one because the other ones are high, because this is high. Okay, so that's a very basic die cut card. Hopefully you've gathered a few little tips from just me talking about that and how it works. Okay. But it's a nice simple card that I think anyone would be pleased to receive. As I say, it's got some oomph because it's got a little bit of texture on it, a little bit of colours, lots of different things, and of course the bling just adds. But see, you don't need stamps to make a card. You can make it just purely out of die cuts, and I just wanted to show that and let people know who are die cutters and not stampers that maybe it's okay if you're not at this point, especially when you first start. A lot of people when they first start struggle, you know, with die cutting, with stamping rather. I remember Bev when she first joined us, many years ago now. I met Bev at a craft show where I was showing at a craft show, and she just did die cutting. That's all she did, die cutting. And I think Bev was probably the first person I'd ever met who only did die cutting. And I was like, you only do die cutting? Okay. You don't stamp? And she's like, no, don't stamp. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can help with that. And I sold her some tropical fern dies or something like that. It was like a tropical leaf or something for a wedding. I remember because it stuck in my head so much. And since then, Bev's discovered the joy of stamping. But I always remember that she was just a die cutter. And I was like, oh, okay, that's weird because I'm not. I stamp and I die cut. So I love meeting people. And that was many years ago. And it's always stuck with me to remember that people don't always start the same place that you do. So if that's you, if you're a Bev and you just love die cutting, then I hope that this has given you a simple idea for die cutting. But what if you want to step that up a little bit? Thank you, Leah. Glad that you enjoyed that one. Supposing you want to step it up just a smidge and do something a little bit more exciting with it. But again, you don't want to bring stamps into it. Well, I have another option for you. If you've got a die cutter, you've probably got an embossing folder. So embossing is always a good way to create a nice layer underneath your die cutting to add a little bit more extra texture. Ooh, that sounds quite good. Extra texture. So yes, you can add a little bit more in that. And then what I've done is I've got a different colour base this time. I'm going to go different colours. And I've got some pieces that I've die cut previously. Okay, save you having to watch me die cut them all the time. And by the way, if you've got questions, please just, you know, tell me if you've got questions. Tell me if this resonates with you at all. If you are just a die cutter and, you know, sometimes you don't know how to step up your die cutting, because I love hearing from everybody. So let me know. I'm going to take a swig of my tea, which I forgot to drink because I was in a panic trying to get everything going live. Okay, so I've got my card and I've got my card base. Jones asked a question: when I emboss my card is no longer when I emboss my card is no longer square. Okay, so yes, this does happen because when you're embossing, especially if it's a square embossing folder, like or a big one that's got lots of embossing all over it like this, or if it's just on one side specifically, it will pull the cardstock a little bit. And then the reason why it does that is because obviously all this cardstock is going up into the machine, like it's going up into the embossing, and so it's shrinking it from one edge. So generally what you'll find is that one edge is slightly, this one hasn't done it quite so badly, but yeah, sometimes it can like lift it from the bottom edge if there's loads down here. So what I recommend is you just cut it a little larger to start off with, and then trim it once you've embossed it. You won't cut things out. You do need to have a very clean trimmer with a really good blade to go through embossed material, because otherwise it can tear. But if you're finding it's always, particularly with one particular embossing folder, pulling, then yes, I would leave it a little larger and then cut down to size, because then that way you know it's the right size after it's been embossed. And that's just, it's just physics. It's just one of those things that you have to you just have to cope with, because embossing does that to paper. It's just the way it is. Oh, Sarah has that problem too. Yes, good. Okay, good idea. Excellent. Alrighty, good. I'm glad that's helped. Okay, so what I've done now is I've taken exactly the same flowers dies, but this time I coloured the paper or the card before I cut it out. Okay, so I did something like this. I made something like this, okay, which I do with lots of different things. Or you could use different coloured papers. You could get paper that does the same thing. And then this gives your flowers an immediate different feeling, because now they've got colour on them. You haven't had to stamp any of it. It's just colour, okay? So you can, again, bring in some dimension to the sides. It doesn't matter that they're still white underneath, because no one's really going to see underneath there. Now this one I've decided to just use 2 the same size, rather than like on this one, these were 3 different sizes. This time I've cut 2 of the smaller one. Okay, and we'll just see how this goes. But see how different that gives a look from like a plain piece of card to a coloured piece of card. And you can do it with paper as well. It doesn't have to be cardstock. So if you had a really nice mottled piece of paper, you could cut flowers out from that too. Alrighty, so this time I'm not going to bother with the strip. I'm just going to go straight on here, because this has got my embossing instead of the strip basically. So I'll do this. And then what I've done is I've also cut out a few extra swirly bits. I'm going to call them swirly bits for the sake of this conversation. What do I mean by swirly bits? Well, I mean this kind of swirly bit. Okay, again, die cut out with similar, with papers that have been coloured the same way. And I don't know if I want to put all of these on here, because I've got quite a nice lot of background, but I might put 1 on. I might do 1. And just have it as a sort of a swirl coming out from the flower, like so. And just then have the flowers coming out like that, or even put another piece like right underneath here so it knows that it's kind of there. We'll put the leaves on there. So now we're adding a little bit of dimension with some different layers on top. So I'm really adding the leaves like here in 2 ways. First on the embossing, because it's a leaf pattern, and secondly just on a die cut swirl. Okay, so if I put that way, is that going to go? Let's see what we've got here. I could do that. Oops. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. We can do another one there. Tuck that one behind there maybe. I'm just looking at seeing how the layout's going to look. Do I like it that way? I kind of like it this way, to be honest. I might bring it this way around. And then this one, see, this is not a whole one, but I'm not worried about that, because I had some spare left over of the paper. I'm just going to take this sharp edge off so it doesn't look quite so sharp. There we go. And then, see that one I can just tuck in sort of here-ish. I'll go over the top of that one, but that's fine. Yeah, I kind of like that. So now we're going to stick this down, but I'm only going to put glue on the bits that are really important to have glue on. You don't have to glue everything. That's the other thing with die cuts. I think we feel like we have to glue everything, but actually you don't. You can get away with quite a lot of empty, non-glued, as long as you have a good glue. The rest of it will kind of fall into place. Okay. But if you do want, I've got so many ways that you can add glue to the back of a die cut. Lots and lots and lots of ways. Okay, this one, we'll put some here. Here. There we go. And then I'm just sort of filling in this space here, like so. And because it's on embossing, you have to press it a little bit harder. Oh, thanks, Emma Louise. That's very nice. Okay, so now we're going to add our big flower here. That's better. Okay, and then our little flower, we can just, little flowers, we can just sort of add scattered around the shape. Okay, so again, dimension. And this time I think I'm going to do them all dimensionaled up, which is a technical term again. All with foam pads, basically. So we'll just pop that on. Oops, come on. So we'll stick that on, and that'll help to stick that down there. Like so. And again, if we stick this on here, it'll help to stick this one down here. And then this one we can do the same. And that one will stick here. And again, stick down here. Okay. It's looking quite good. Feel like we still need a bit of bling. Or something else to put in the centres. So I've also got another die cut. It's a die cut set of dies from Stampin' Up, and it's an old set of dies, but they're never going anywhere because they're just so handy. Because look, they've got all these flower things in them, so they've got all these centres and stuff that you can add to flowers. It's a great set of dies, that. So if you've got anything that you think could make centres, or even like a little tiny hole punch, like a little mini half-inch punch, half centimetre, half-inch, any of those little tiny punches, you can make your own little tiny flower centres that can go in the actual flowers. And it doesn't matter that these flowers are not Stampin' Up flowers, they're other flowers, because they just coordinate, right? And then there's a nice little one there. I can put that one in there. So these are very close in colour, and they are actually the same colour as the base. So that just pulls it all together and gives you that. It's like a design, it's one of the design principles, basically. It's all about colour and having things that work together rather than, you know, sometimes opposites are great, but sometimes you want things that will work in the same way, just to pull the colours and pull them together and make them into a more solid unit. So that's what I'm doing here. And these, whilst they're different for this one, they're the same as the outside, so it just draws the colours together. And then we'll finish off again with more dimensionals. But now I've got a centre in there. I'm not sure if I need 3. Now I've lost my tape picture. There it is. Let's just try. So let's have a look. Could we get away with just 1? I think we probably could now, because we've got that added centre. And then for these 2, probably the middle size. Will look good? Yeah, look. There we go. So, what do you think of those? So we've gone from this to this, but we've used exactly the same things, except I've just added a couple of other dies. So you might have leaves rather than swirls. So this is another Chloe's Creative. This one's summer foliage, and it's got this lovely swirly bit here, but it's also got leaves. So you could just add, you know, leaves behind here if you wanted to. Lots of people I know have stamps, have die cuts rather, that have both flowers and leaves in them together. So you could do that. You could do any embossing folder behind. So if you wanted to use any kind of embossing folder, that would work. And then just a bit of coloured paper or coloured card to give you a different look and feel for the flowers. Just makes it a little bit different to a solid colour. Louise says, what's the name of the tool? So this is a take your pick tool. You can buy it from me if you're in the UK. I've lost it again now. What have I done? Yeah, it's called a take your pick. It's from Stampin' Up. If you look on the description underneath this video, you should be able to see a link to my Stampin' Up store. You can go and pop it in from there. It comes with these extra. It comes with an extra one of these ends. You just undo it and switch it out for the new one when you're ready. So that's that, and it's got a pokey and then an unscrew and a spatula. And you can get loads of other things. You can get loads of other attachments, but to be honest, these are the 2 attachments that I use all the time. So yeah, it's cool, that. Jane says nice. Valerie says, like the idea of swirly leaves with the flowers. Yes, I think swirlies are good. Swirlies are nice. They just sort of make it a bit more, have a bit more movement to it. So these ones are very static and stationary. And then for some reason these feel like they're more growing. They are actually growing out of it, and I think that's because, well, I know that's because of this swirl behind it. It makes the eye feel like it's growing towards each of the flowers. So yes, so I think those 2 demonstrate how you can take dies and do something a little bit differently with them. You can use different colours, you can use different words. Oh, we haven't put any words on. Let's put some words on. Let's have a look. What have we got? Oops. Got another one. Let's have a look. I've got something here that we could put on here. Got just a note. That's a bit tiny. Oh, actually, it looks quite nice though. Just a note. Best wishes. Thanks. Thanks was always good. Like so. That looks all right, doesn't it? I think. Actually, that's got a nice size to it compared to the others, so that's cool. So we'll do that. And I think we'll put that flat actually, so that it's got a different height to the others. So we'll just pop a little bit of glue on the back of that, and then I'll just pop that in place. There. Just stand it up so I make sure it's straight in my eyes. That looks straight. There we go. Yeah, that looks better. What else we can do? Diane says embossing the flowers would be good. Yes, you could emboss the flowers. That's also a good idea. Anything to really make them less than just plain. Because sometimes plain is good, but most of the time a little bit fancier is better if you've got it, if you can. So if you have an embossing folder, probably with a smaller design, if you were going to emboss the actual flowers themselves, that would work. We can look at different materials, so we can start to look at other things. So here's one I've done in Blue Peter fashion. There's one I've done earlier. Very similar, using the same technique for the flowers and the same swirls, but this time I've used vellum, because, you know, vellum always gives a nice different sort of feeling to a card. So this one I've added vellum and a few extra die cuts, and then some sparklies all over, which is nice, and added a background that wasn't embossed but was again this sort of mottled look to it. So there's lots of different ways that you can step up your just plain old die cutting, and I just want people to realise that they're not, you know, if you're starting out just with die cutting, that's great. You could do them, you can do loads with just die cutting. Sarah says, could you emboss first then cut out? No, I would cut then emboss, because when you run it through your plates, if you've embossed them, it'll flatten it out again, so you won't get the lovely texture if you emboss it off, if you emboss it and then cut afterwards. So I always recommend cutting and then embossing for sure. So yeah, so hopefully that's given you some good tips about how you can use what you have in your stash to make some cards with die cuts. And I think these are beautiful cards, and well, even though I say so myself, but I think they are pretty. And I think that you can do so much with dies that sometimes we forget that. And if you are only a die cutter, you'll know that sometimes things don't look necessarily perfect, or, you know, you haven't quite got it in the right place, and sometimes you just need something to give it a bit more oomph. So a little bit of oomph can be brought in by using different colorways, different textures in terms of embossing, different colors in the background, different colors in the actual piece that you're using to build it up, adding little central points. Here I've added central points and glitter again, like so. And again, the layout is important. So don't just stick them all on one side, or, you know, randomly across your card. Make sure that you have a flow with your card, so your eye's traveling from left to right, okay, because that's kind of how your eyes generally go, or at least it does if you're Western. If you're not Western, if you've been brought up in the Far East or Middle East, then your eyes will go the other way, because that's how you read. Okay, so you read from right to left, we read from left to right. So, you know, just if you're sending it to somebody who reads right to left, put it the other way round, because that will then draw their eye better that way. So have some thought about how you're sending your cards to people. Diane says, where can you buy the die cut words? These ones. Oh, these are the die cut ones that I didn't have to cut out. These ones. These are also Stampin' Up, just out of interest for those of you who are let me find out what they're called. They're an ephemera pack. Greetings for all mix and match ephemera pack from Stampin' Up. And they're nice because you get 2 sheets per type. No, these are different. These are different. These are different. Right, that's the same as that one. and then you get two, you get white and you get black, and then you get white on black. No, you get black on white and white on black, and you get 2 sheets of each type, of each sheet. Don't know where the other one of that, or the other one of that's gone. Lost them somewhere. Maybe I've used them all. I may well have used quite a lot of them. So yes, but they come. I think you get 2 sheets of each. I'm fairly sure you did, or maybe you got 2 of one and then 2 other ones. I don't know. But you get a lot in them anyway. That's what I'm trying to say. But yes, you could use anything. If you are a stamper, you can stamp. Of course you can. That's also an option. But I just wanted to show how die cuts could be positioned on the page. So we've kind of learnt that positioning is important. We've learnt that dimension is important, you know, having different layers and maybe giving it a little bit of a curl. We've learnt that changing the colours and the flow also is important, and that you can create some great things by adding texture with backgrounds or different materials or sparklies and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's all texture at the end of the day, right? So hopefully that's been a good class. Hopefully you've enjoyed that and you've learnt a lot. It's only been about 40 minutes, so I'm open to questions. I'd really, really, really like you to make a card with some die cuts, especially if you've got florals. Like if you've got the workbook and you're working through this, you know kind of the things that we've been using. So see what you've got in your stash and try and make a card that fits one of these kind of layouts, and pop it up in my Facebook group if you're a member of my Facebook group, or if you're a member, pop it up in the hub. I'd love to see them in the hub. And I'd really like to have your thoughts as to whether this has helped you at all, whether you've picked up any good tips. There's space in your workbook for writing down tips if you've got some good ones. If any of these tips have resonated with you, share them in the chat. That would be really good, so that other people can kind of see what things are resonating and I can see what things are helping you. So if it is the fact that I've given you a nice take your pick tool so that it's a, you know, easy way of picking up rhinestones, that's a tip. Or if it's about the layout or embossing or using different colours, whatever, that would be good to know. And we can, you know, this makes it pop, absolutely, and you could rock out 100 of those if you wanted to, and they would all be lovely, but they would all be quite similar. And so tomorrow what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how you can introduce some more things into your crafting world to maybe make it look a little bit different, so it's not all looking the same. If you only have a small supply of stash, and I'm a big believer in the fact that you can do a lot with a small amount of stash, and that you don't actually need to buy lots and lots of things. I know this goes against the grain. Everyone's like, no, but I want to buy new stuff. I want to buy new stuff. It's like, yes, absolutely, but you don't have to. So come back tomorrow and I will show you how you can make more beautiful cards, stepping it up a level again, and using different things and different ways to increase your card making with what you already have. Okay, so this whole week we're only going to be using the things that I've already shown you. Okay, we're going to be adding a few different things into the mix in terms of materials and different things like that and different ideas, and then just, you know, hopefully you'll see a different way of using your stash even more, so that you get even more for your money, because that's what I'm all about. I don't feel like you need to always go and buy the latest and greatest new thing. Sometimes just having a different way of using what you've got means that you get extra joy and extra pleasure out of what you've already bought. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. So I hope you're going to come back and watch me again tomorrow and join in. And I'd love it if you took some pictures and shared your cards with us in the group. So good. Thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Yes, please, Valerie, thumbs up. Thanks ever so much on my YouTube channel. That's really great. And also make sure that you're getting my emails, and make sure that you're filling in your workbooks and making the most of that resource, because you know, that's why I provide it for you. So excellent. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for all your kind comments. That's lovely. I'm glad you've enjoyed the tips. That's brilliant. And I will see you again soon. Next time, same place, same time, tomorrow here. Alrighty. Take care for now. Happy crafting. See ya. Bye-bye.